good to see that you came back for another class. I'm a bit of a loss though. I'm just not sure what I should teach you today. There's all this amazing technology out there, and I'm just not. What should I teach you guys about? Maybe I should teach you laptop repair. Fixing a laptop computer is surprisingly easy to do. A lot of people are worried and are scared of trying to fix their laptop computer if something breaks, if a screen breaks or a keyboard goes bad. They're either scared of trying to fix it because they're worried they're going to make the problem worse, or they think it's not worth fixing and they just throw it out and buy a new laptop computer. Fixing laptop computers can be relatively inexpensive. Most parts on laptop computers are not that expensive. Things like keyboards only cost about $40. Even screens, if you crack your screen, that's still probably only going to be about $200 for a new screen. So fixing a laptop computer is pretty easy to do, and it's relatively cheap. You do have to be slow when you do this. You have to be slow and precise because, of course, there are a lot of screws in laptop computers, and if you lose the screws, well, the computer might not go back together right again. But if you're willing to go slow, if you're willing to do a little bit of research and take time to do it, fixing a laptop computer is really easy. The one thing that you will have to do is go out and get yourself a nice set of small screwdrivers. I like this little set from Cobalt here. They give you a set of, what is this? They give you a set of 10 different screwdrivers, Phillips and flat and hex and all different types. You know what a flathead screwdriver is, and you probably know what a Phillips screwdriver is. The one that you may not know of is called a hex screwdriver. Let's see if you can see that. Well, no, you can't. But a hex screwdriver, it looks like a little star on either the screw or the screwdriver, and you may need a hex screwdriver to get into your laptop computer, just so you know that. A little set of screwdrivers like this will probably cost you about $15, and it's realistically the only tools you need. So we're going to go into this class, and today I'm going to teach you how to fix your own laptop computer. Now, of course, we have to go over the standard warnings and to make sure you understand what you're getting into and make sure you understand the problems that you may have. The first warning that I will give you is before you do anything at all to this laptop computer, crack it open, do any of that, make sure that you know that it's out of warranty. Because if you start playing with this laptop computer, you start pulling things apart and putting them back together, if the problem is under warranty, Sony or HP or Dell would fix it for free. As soon as you start pulling this laptop computer open, that voids the warranty. So if you have a warranty, just give it back to Dell or Hewlett Packard or Best Buy or whoever you got it from and get it fixed through them. It'll be cheaper, it'll be easier. Yeah. So before you open up your laptop computer, make sure that it is no longer under warranty. The next piece of advice I'm going to give you is the same piece of advice I always give and people always ignore. But I will give it again and I hope you listen. When you are going to buy your parts to fix your laptop computer, please do not go to eBay. Unless you really, really have to. And even then, if you have to go to eBay, it's probably time to buy a new laptop computer. Please, buying things on eBay is just a bad idea. When I was running the store, we would buy things from eBay, we would get the wrong parts, we would get bad parts. It really was a headache. If you need to buy a new LCD screen, the new LCD screen will probably cost $200. If you go onto eBay and say, ooh, it's only $100, well, what's it worth to you if you only pay $100, but then you get the part and then it's bad or it's not the right part? We've seen that a lot where people would send us the wrong part. And again, they may say, oh, we're so sorry, but we paid for shipping to get it, we paid for shipping back, it's just a pain. The other problem that you're going to run into when you go to buy parts, this is especially true of the LCD screen or the LCD housing, is sometimes when you buy parts on eBay, they don't sell you all the parts that you need. So we saw this before, like I say, in the shop, where we had MacBooks. The MacBook hinge broke. So we thought, oh, all we're going to do is buy a single part. Well, the problem is we would buy that one single part, but in order for that one single part to work, you needed another single part. Well, nobody else sold the other single part. The way to get the other single part was to buy the entire housing, the entire package. So we tried to save ourselves, $50 or $100, and we ended up wasting $50 or $100 because we bought the part and they shipped us the correct part that we ordered. But what they didn't tell us, because they're not really professional vendors, is that you needed this other part for it to work, and nobody else sold the other part. And so please just stay away from eBay, please. When you go to fix your laptop computer, when you find out what bad part you have, really try to find a good, reputable vendor. If you're looking for things like hard drives or RAM, you can get this from any place. You can get this from Best Buy, Newegg.com, of course, is my favorite. These are normal parts that you can get almost anywhere, so just get it from a good vendor. If you need to buy things like LCD screens or keyboards, I recommend a company called SmartMicroUSA.com. They are very, very good. They're very quick, and they always give you the right parts. Whoever you decide to go with, make sure that they sell laptop parts as their main business. It's not just they have a couple in the back room and they sell it. They make sure that they are actual laptop part vendors, because a lot of times when you call up, especially if you're only going to fix your laptop computer once, you may be making a newbie mistake. And if you call the people up and you tell them what you're doing and you go to order the part, they might go, whoa, 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 that's not what you need. What you need is, and that's why you're paying the $5 or $10 or $20 extra dollars to use a real vendor. So please use a real vendor. The only part in this laptop computer, so you know, that you could really do damage to yourself. Fixing laptop computers is relatively painless and easy, and no trips to the hospital necessary. Make sure you unplug the laptop computer before you start working on it, and that you pull the battery out. A lot of people forget to pull the battery out, so make sure you pull that out. The only part in here that could really hurt you is something called the LCD inverter. The inverter is what changes the power that comes from the battery and steps it up so that the LCD monitor can use it. So it increases the power. If you play with this, if you try to jury-rig the inverter, you could really hurt yourself. So, if you just pick up the inverter, you just plug the inverter in, you just do everything normal, you're gonna be fine. The inverter, it's not a boogeyman, it's not But if you decide that you're going to use the wrong inverter, or you're just gonna do some weird jury rigging, don't do it with the LCD inverter. The LCD inverter, it steps up the power, it can zap you, and you can be in the ambulance. So just don't do anything stupid with the inverter. Of course, don't lose the screws when you're fixing your laptop computer. A good trick that one of my techs showed me is he always had a sheet of paper like this, and he would draw on it little landmarks on a laptop computer, and as he pulled screws off, he would take them and then he would put that approximately on the sheet of paper where it would go on the laptop computer, and then tape the screw down. So if he had the laptop computer here and he had the sheet of paper here, the upper left-hand corner screw, if he pulled a screw out of the upper left-hand corner of the laptop computer when it was on its back, he would tape that down to the upper left-hand corner of the piece of paper. So this is a very easy way not to get confused where your screws go, because if you just put them into little different vials or canisters or just scatter them around, you may not lose them, but you may not know where they go on the computer. By using a piece of paper as a map, that makes it a lot easier to make sure that you know where all the screws go. Let's see. Some laptop computers are very, very, very complex, so you have to make the decision whether or not you want to rip the laptop computer apart. A lot of laptop computers, most of the laptop computers that you're going to work on are really easy to fix. You just pop a few things open and no big deal. Some laptop computers, especially Mac laptop computers, and these new ultra-light, ultra-portable laptop computers are an utter pain in the butt to do anything with. We had one MacBook come to the shop where the guy thought, hey, how hard can it be to swap out a hard drive? Well, the MacBook was so complicated, he ended up having to legitimately take the entire computer apart to get to the hard drive. Once he had done that, he had forgotten where all the screws went. So he literally came to our store with little Ziploc baggies of screws and all the parts and said, it's a $2,000 computer, please help me. We were able to put it back together. But this is something that you should think about, is some of the laptop computers are very, very difficult. So if you feel like you're getting it over your head, just stop, put it back together, and take it to a professional. When in doubt, use Google. Google is a great tool for fixing laptop computers. There are a lot of websites out there that show you how to replace specific parts in a computer. So if you're saying, I need to replace the keyboard in a Toshiba Satellite 9560, if you plug that into Google, you may find that they have videos or demonstrations, and they'll show you exactly on that computer how to fix it. So always use Google. The last part is, of course, I have to tell you as a professional, some people are worried about electrostatic discharge. Electrostatic discharge is, when you build up static electricity and you shock somebody, well, this can damage components in a laptop computer, theoretically. If you want to be absolutely safe, go out and buy yourself one of those anti-static bands that you can get in Radio Shack. It's a little armband that goes down and it grounds you. It pulls all the static electricity out of your body so that you do not have to worry about ESD, electrostatic discharge, damaging anything in your laptop computer. I will tell you that that's a completely safe way of doing it. I never use one of those armbands, and I haven't destroyed anything in years. So I mean, you should. The proper way of doing it is that electrostatic armband. I don't mess with it. So the main warnings that come out of this is when you're going to buy your parts, buy them from a reputable vendor. You're not paying for labor. It's already going to be pretty cheap to fix your computer, so just pay the few extra dollars and buy your parts from a reputable vendor. You will be very, 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 very happy, I swear to you. And the thing is, with the inverter, the LCD inverter that I'll show you later is the only thing that really could harm you in any horrible way. It's very easy to install, uninstall. As long as you don't do anything stupid, you're fine. Whatever you do, just please don't do anything stupid with the LCD inverter. So with those warnings, we're going to go into the class. One note on liquid damage. So let's say you have your handy dandy laptop computer and you spill a cup of coffee on it, or your kid spills a soda, etc. Before you do anything with that laptop computer, what you should do is you should unplug it, pull out the battery, and this is going to sound painful, but you should put that laptop computer into a warm, dry place for probably about a week. If the liquid gets into your computer, as long as there's no power in the computer, there's a very good chance it won't do any actual damage. The liquid itself is not what does damage to your computer. How liquid damages your computer is if there is electricity present in your computer, it's zigging around all those circuits. What happens is the liquid will create a short. So the electricity is supposed to go this way and up and over and around, and instead it's able to jump and go to a different place on the circuit board, and this is what fries components. This is what destroys components. So the liquid itself generally does not do damage to your computer. It's the electricity that then flows through the liquid that then shorts things out and makes everything go to hell. So if your computer gets coffee or water or Coke or whatever spilled on it, unplug it, take the battery out, and then put it in a nice warm dry place for as long as possible. Like I say, hopefully a week. I know that sounds like a long time, but remember that the computer case, the laptop case, is all sealed up. So if the water gets pretty far in there, it'll take a while before it evaporates and comes out. So that is one warning and one thing to think about with liquid damage is just let it sit for a while.
Okay, now the first thing that we're going to talk about is RAM. So RAM normally doesn't break, normally doesn't get damaged. But if you want to upgrade it, it's a very, very easy thing to do. Especially now, a lot of these companies don't put nearly enough RAM in the laptop computer when you buy it. The reason it's such an inexpensive special at Best Buy for $300 or $400 is because there's not enough RAM in it. So something you can do to make your computer work a lot better is to put more RAM into it. When you're going to go buy RAM, what I would suggest that you do is either go to newegg.com or go to kingston.com, kingston.com. They're a manufacturer of RAM. And when you go there, they have a little tool to tell you what kind of RAM your laptop computer needs. There's a lot of different types of RAM out there. If you took the computer anatomy course, you know that. So you can't just go and buy any RAM and expect it to be able to shove it into your laptop computer. You need to buy the specific RAM for your laptop computer. Again, just go to newegg.com or kingston.com, plug in what type of laptop computer you have, and then it'll tell you what you need. It'll tell you what type of RAM to put in the laptop computer, and it'll also tell you how much RAM you can put in the laptop computer. So it'll say it maxes at 2 gigs of RAM, or 4 gigs of RAM, or 1 gig of RAM. Kingston.com or newegg.com will be able to tell you, how much RAM you can actually put into your laptop computer. Now, to replace RAM in almost all laptop computers, all you have to do is basically open up one of these little panels on the bottom, and you'll be able to find the RAM. So the first thing that we need to do actually is we need to find the battery. So in this computer, this is the battery, and we need to pop it out. So there's always a locking mechanism. You push the locking mechanism and then pull out the battery. This makes sure that there is no power going to this computer at all. Then we grab our little screwdriver. One of the things you can look at is, do you see that little symbol right there? That's kind of like the universal symbol for RAM. So if you can find that on one of the bottom panels, and then that's where the RAM is. If you don't find it on the bottom panel, then you just open up all the bottom panels until you find the RAM. So let's see, we're going to put this right here. We're going to unscrew. So it's very, very simple. Screw the RAM. Oops. And then you kind of pry. And so that's a little cover. It comes off. And then if you look in here, this is the RAM. Put this down. Now to take out the RAM, basically there's 2 little levers on the side. You just pull those apart and the RAM will actually pop up. And then you can pull it out. So see, this is a chip of laptop RAM. So this laptop computer, can only accept 1 stick of RAM, because you'll notice there's only 1 slot for RAM. And I don't know what's in here now. This one has 128 megs of RAM. Woo! So, but that's all you do. So if this was brand new RAM that I was installing into it, all I would do is I would take it. I would slot it in, push, and then you push down, and that's it. The RAM is installed. That's how easy it is to uninstall or install laptop RAM. Here's something to think about. If your computer won't boot on at all, or if it's having problems, sometimes you have to do what's called reseating the RAM. Sometimes the RAM, just by day-to-day whatever, gets knocked out of place. So let's say you set the computer down too hard, and the RAM comes out of place just a little bit. That will cause the computer not to boot up at all, or cause some weird problems. So if you're having weird problems, something that you can try to do is reseat the RAM. That basically means pull the RAM out, pull the RAM, all the way out, take a look at it, dust it off, make sure there's no problems with it, and then all you do is you shove it back in. Sometimes that's all you need to do to fix your laptop computer. So that is replacing, upgrading, or reseating the RAM. Okay, now the next thing we need to talk about is the hard drive. So let's say your hard drive fails. It clunks. It whizzes, it whirs. You get that stupid little no operating system found, something like that. Or you decide that you need to upgrade your hard drive. Your hard drive isn't nearly the size you need, so you want a bigger one. So how do you replace the hard drive? That's really easy. Again, normally the hard drives are under one of these little panels here. Under one of these little panels. So basically, if you don't know where the hard drive is, you just keep pulling off panels until you find it. So one of the symbols for hard drives that you can look for is see that little thing right there? It looks like 3 little dinner plates or records, and that's one of the universal symbols for hard drives. So you can look on the bottom of your computer and see if it has that little symbol. If it does, that's probably where your hard drive is. If it doesn't, well, then just start pulling off bottom panels until you find your hard drive. So again, let's take the screws out of this. This is easy peasy. Oops. Easy peasy, they say. Sometimes you need to. Yep. There we go. Sometimes you do need a flathead screwdriver just to kind of get in there and wrench the thing out. So with this, we find here is the hard drive. From this point, let's see. You undo the screws on the side. This is the carrier case. So the hard drive will always be screwed, almost always be screwed into some kind of carrier. So you have to unscrew it from that. And with that, we just unscrew this. Unscrew that. Unscrew that. So the hard drive pops off the carrier case, and then you'll notice this set of connectors here. If you have a SATA hard drive, the hard drive will just automatically plug into the computer. If it's an IDE hard drive, it has this extra set of connectors, and this is just an adapter. So you just pull this off, and now you have a normal IDE laptop hard drive. So you just go to Best Buy and you say, I want a bigger one of these. So this is a 40 gig. You go in and you say, I want a 500 gig. You get the 500 gig. Then you take this little adapter that you pulled off the other one. You plug it into the new one like this. You then screw your new hard drive into this carrier case. And then you take that and you put it back in the computer and you screw it in. And now you have a brand new hard drive in your laptop computer. So it's that easy. You find the panel under which the hard drive is located. You pull the panel off. You find the hard drive in a carrier case. You unscrew it from the carrier case. If it is an IDE hard drive, you then remove the adapter and you've got the bare hard drive. You buy a new IDE hard drive. You plug the adapter into the IDE hard drive and reverse the process. The one thing to remember is laptop computers will either accept IDE hard drives or SATA hard drives. You cannot buy a SATA hard drive and plug it into an IDE laptop computer, or take an IDE hard drive and plug it into a SATA laptop computer. So to make sure you don't buy the wrong thing at Best Buy, just pull out the hard drive, and so you know what you've got. If you've got the prongs like this, you have an IDE hard drive. If it's just 2 little ports, you have a SATA hard drive. So this is how you replace or upgrade your hard drive on a laptop computer. Now the next thing that we're going to talk about is the optical drive. The optical drives means your CD drive, your CD burner, your DVD burner, your Blu-ray player, your HD, whatever, I don't know. Now, one thing to keep in mind is for most laptop computers, 99.99% of laptop computers, or well, maybe 95% of laptop computers, they all use something called a slim drive. The slim drive is a normal standard. So you can go out and you can buy any slim drive and you can pop it into your laptop computer and it'll work. So that's for 95% of laptop computers out there. Now some, the Sonys or those ultralight computers or all that, don't use a standardized slim drive. They use their own special drives. So before you go out and you buy a new optical drive for your computer, do a Google search, go to the manufacturer's webpage for your laptop computer, and make sure if it uses a standard slim drive or if it uses some kind of proprietary slim drive. If it uses a standard slim drive, you can go to newegg.com or any of those places, and you can just buy another slim drive to fit your needs, you know, CD, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. If it's a specialized optical drive, then you will have to go to the manufacturer or some kind of specialty place to buy one. So how you replace a slim drive over an optical drive is generally very, very, very easy. Again, the standardized ones are very easy. Now, the optical drive, right here, almost always slides out of the computer. So it's always, in order to get the optical drive out of the computer, it has a pin or a screw that holds the optical drive inside. So what you do is you look where the optical drive is, so it's right here, and then you go behind it and you find any screw that might be used to hold it in place, because generally there is only one screw used to hold the optical drive in place. For this computer, it is this one screw right here. So let me unscrew this. Dun-dun-dun. And then with this, we have to pop it over, kind of tap it. We get the screw out. And so this is one of those times. See, with these, I didn't bother to tape these screws down to the piece of paper because they're already in a little plastic thing. So I know where they go. So I just put that here. Here, since I might lose track of where this particular screw goes, I will take my piece of paper, and since the screw is from approximately there, I'll just take that, and then boop, I just put a little piece of tape on it. So now I know approximately where that screw went. Once that happens, now let's see. See, I can just slide the optical drive out, and look at that. I have an optical drive. I can just swap this. Again, like the hard drive, this is in a carrier case. So with this, if I want to fully take this apart, I unscrew this. So there's normally 4 screws. And these are little ones, so you don't want to lose these guys. Look how small that is. I don't even know if you can see how small that is. That's small. About the size of a rice grain. So just be careful with these guys. And there we go. So this is the carrier case. And this right there is the optical drive. So this is the drive. So when you order from newegg.com or Tiger Direct or whatever, in the mail you'll get something that looks like this. And so this is what you get. You then take this, you screw it into the carrier case, you plug it back into your laptop computer, and you've replaced your optical drive. It is literally that easy. Very, very, very simple to do. Like I say, just make sure that your laptop computer is one of the laptop computers that accepts, you know, the standardized slim drive. If it doesn't accept a standard slim drive, then you have to go back to the manufacturer to buy the part. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to deal with is the keyboard. The keyboard normally dies, well, usually because of kids. Either kids spill Coke or soda into the keyboard. Because like I say, coffee or water usually doesn't damage things like electronics as long as you turn off the computer. But something like Coke will or soda will because it's sticky. That sugar gets in there and then goops stuff up. So if somebody dumps Coke in here, that's bad. Or a lot of times we had little 3 and 4 year olds who would pull off individual keys. So they would pull off the F or the G or the space bar. If they pull it off and it's broken, sad to say, no, you cannot just buy another key. They just don't sell them. I know everybody thinks it should be a 50-cent part, but they don't sell the individual keys, and therefore it's not a 50-cent part. You have to replace the entire keyboard. Replacing the keyboard usually is not that horrible to do. You will most likely have to go online or be very patient to figure out how to actually take the keyboard off. Sometimes it can be as simple as there can be a couple of screws. You just take those screws off and you pop the keyboard out. Other times the screws to take off the keyboard can be hidden under the motherboard, or the actual screw to allow the keyboard to release is just deep into the innards of your laptop computer. With this laptop computer, I took the time to I had to take out the screws that were up here. So I had to take off these 4 screws. Once I took off those 4 screws, it allowed me to then pop this top part off. This is its own piece that comes off. So let me just you see that? Use my handy dandy flat screwdriver. And even though the screws are off, there's still little hooks in there, so you have to use the screwdriver just to kind of pry things. Let me not break this in front of the world. And so just get the screwdriver down there, and then just as gently as possible try to pry things up. Sometimes you have to pry it from a couple different locations, so I'm going in through the back. Ugh. These things are a pain in the butt. There we go. There we go. So, after a little bitchin', whining, and moaning, this piece comes off. We put that to the side. Now, there are screws under here that connect the keyboard to the frame. So we'll take those screws out. Now once those screws are out, oops, I just pull the keyboard. So the keyboard then is its own part. It has a connector. You see this little connector down here? All laptop computers have the same weird little connector. This goes into a slot on the motherboard of the laptop. If you see right here, this is a slot. So if somebody spilled Coke into your keyboard, you would pull off the top panel. That's probably where these screws are hidden. You pull the keyboard out. You would buy another keyboard just like this. You would slot it in. Da-da-da. Slot it in as such. Oops. There we go. Like that. And then you put the new keyboard in, you screw it in, and you have a new keyboard. So replacing your keyboard literally can be that easy. It can really be a cluster too. It can be hellish. Like I say, if the screw to release the keyboard is underneath in the motherboard or inside the laptop, it can be a real pain in the butt. But for the most part, it's pretty easy to take out and replace a keyboard. Keyboards normally cost anywhere between $40 to about $60, so it's another pretty cheap repair. So pull off the stuff, pull out the keyboard, plug in the new keyboard, screw everything in, and you have a new keyboard. Now, another big problem that we got a lot is people bringing their laptop computer in and saying that it just shuts down randomly, that they'll be doing something and then the computer turns off or it freezes. Well, just like a desktop computer, if your computer randomly shuts off or freezes, it's normally because your CPU is overheating. Basically, it's a fail-safe mechanism. If your CPU gets too hot, it'll burn out and literally melt and damage itself. So there's a component in there that says if the temperature goes over a certain amount, that the CPU will just automatically shut itself off so it doesn't physically damage itself. Now, normally what we found, what fixes that nasty little problem 99% of the time, is simply that people need to use their laptop computer on a flat surface, like a table. Many people now get really comfortable with their laptop computers, and so they put it on their couch or their bed, or they put a pillow on their lap and then set the laptop on their lap, and then they don't understand why it's freezing up and dying. Well, for some reason, from some stupid reason, it really is stupid from a design standpoint, most manufacturers put the air vent for the laptop computer on the bottom of the computer. See, this one has two big fans, two big air vents. So if you put this straight onto a blanket or straight onto a pillow, that's going to block these air vents entirely, and then your computer is going to overheat. Like I say, I mean, you figure people put these on pillows and blankets, so you would think that they would put the cooling vents somewhere else, but they don't. Even to this day, they still normally put them on the bottom. So if your computer just randomly shuts down or freezes up, the first thing to do is put it onto a flat surface, a desktop, just a normal desktop or a countertop, and then turn it on, leave it on, and you use it that way. If your computer no longer shuts off, well, that was your problem. You need to stop using it on a pillow. If it still keeps shutting down, then it means you probably have a problem with the fan, or something has gotten gunked up in here. Now I'll show you how to fix this. This is a pretty simple repair. Normally, either the fan is a little gunked up, so you take the fans out, you clean them, and it's fixed, or if they're actually broken, sometimes they'll burn out or they're not working right, then you just normally you call the manufacturer and you can buy a new one. The fan assembly is, again, about normally a $50 part. You just call up Dell or Hewlett Packard or whoever and say, I need this part for this computer, and they'll ship it off to you. So I'll show you how to get into that. With this computer, again, you take off a number of screws. So take this one off. Now, of course, you will notice I am just putting all these little screws into my hand. I suppose I am the teacher and I should teach you how to do this properly, but the reality is this is an old laptop computer, and as soon as I get done with this class, I'm going to throw it in the trash. So I don't really care what happens to these screws. If this is you, you need to take each one of these screws, you need to take your little board with paper, and you need to tape it down, because you, I don't think, are going to throw away your laptop computer at the end of class. I just really don't want to spend all the time. Do as I say, don't do as I do. Okay. Yeah. There we go. So we took off the part of the bottom case so that we could get into and see the fans. Sometimes the entire bottom of the case will come off. Sometimes only a piece like this will come off. It all depends on what laptop computer you're dealing with. And now you will see the fans. So when you open this up, make sure that these fans spin properly. See how these spin nice and easy? If these were gunked up or were not, if they weren't working right, then they wouldn't spin like this. So if you try to spin it and it's really tough or hard, then you need to replace the fan. If you can't spin it like this, then you need to replace the fan. From this point, again, the cooling assembly is different depending on what laptop you're dealing with, which model you're dealing with. So from this point, if you have a problem with this cooling assembly, you would pull the assembly off, you would call the manufacturer, and a lot of times they'll actually give you serial numbers for the part. And so you'll say, I need an SPS 350776001. And it'll be, yes, sir, that'll be $55. And then you'll go, $55 for a fan? But yeah, it's $55. So from this point, you would then unscrew the assembly, however you need to unscrew the assembly, pop it out, put in the new one, and you'll be fine. So the thing to remember is if your computer is just randomly shutting off or just randomly freezing, it's almost always the CPU overheating. The first thing that you do is put it onto a flat surface and see if it still happens. If it stops happening, it means that you're using it on a couch or a soft thing, and so it's clogging up the vents. It can't cool properly. If it still happens while it's on a hard surface, then you need to pull the bottom of the case off. You need to look at the cooling units on the laptop computer. Spray it out with air, make sure it's all clean, and then make sure that the fans spin properly. If they do not spin properly, which is probably your problem, that means they just died. Like I say, call the manufacturer for $50, you get a new fan assembly, and just replace it and you'll be good to go. Okay, so now we've gone over all the other things. We've gone over liquid damage, we've gone over RAM, hard drives, optical drives, keyboard, overheating. Now the next thing is, what happens if you break your screen or if your screen stops working? Now, if you break your screen, you crack it, then that's obvious. Then you have to replace your LCD screen, and we're going to show you how to do that. If your screen stops working, you should realize that there are two different parts that make your screen work. The first is, of course, the screen. The next part is that inverter that I talked about way back in the beginning, in the mornings. So if you look at your screen and you see images on the screen, but it's dark, so it's almost black like this, but you can still see pictures and stuff going on, that usually means your inverter is bad. So you just need to replace your inverter. Your inverter is about a $50 part. It's not too bad. If you don't see anything on the screen at all, that usually means the LCD screen itself is bad, and then that's about a $200 part. So let's go in, and I'll show you how to pull the LCD screen out, and I'll show you in the inverter and all that. The first thing that you do is you have to realize that they hide the screws for the screens normally under little stickers. So like this little sticker here, see, just a little sticker. You pull off the sticker and you find a screw. Now, if this is your laptop computer and you don't care how it looks, you pull off the sticker, you throw away the sticker, and who cares? If you care how it looks, make sure you save that little sticker. Or if this is for a client's computer, make sure you save that little sticker, because it's not really gonna look as nice if it doesn't have these stupid little stickers. So that's one sticker. Let's see here. That's another sticker. And then I think up here, there's a little sticker, and there's a little sticker. So they had the screws on those stickers. So I'll just undo these screws. Screw. Screw. Again, remember, I'm not worried about the screws because I'm going to throw this laptop computer away after this class because it's never going to go back together again. I don't care. It's a piece of trash. For you, make sure you take these screws and you tape it down to a little piece of paper where you have a good system for remembering where they go. Don't just pull them out like I'm pulling them out. Do as I say, don't do as I do, or you're going to be having a very bad day. Now we use our little flathead screwdriver and try to pop this up. So on top of screws, there's also these little plastic hooks in here. So you just have to gently pry this open once you have the screws out. So there's that. Alright, so we pried all this off, and then there's a little bit of tape on here that made this a little difficult to come off. Just realize that you may have to pull this a little harder than is comfortable to get this off. But now we can look at here and we see the LCD assembly. So this is the LCD screen that we've been talking about. Now this right here, this is the inverter. Let me get a screwdriver. Undo that screw. Undo this screw. See, this inverter comes off, and this is the plug that goes into the LCD screen. And then this is the plug that goes into the motherboard, the power goes into. So this is the LCD inverter. So the inverter is most likely bad. If you turn on the computer, the screen is incredibly dark, but you can still see pictures. You can still see images on the screen. That means it's most likely an inverter problem. So you pull out this inverter, see if it has a serial number, like this one does on it, and then call your part supplier and just order another one. Like I say, this should cost anywhere between $40 to $80 most likely. I would use smartmicrousa.com to buy the inverter, but you can use any reputable supplier. So either call the manufacturer or call a reputable supplier, give them the part number that should be on there, and then just replace this. So you pull off the casing, you get in here, you unplug this, you plug a new one in, and you're fine. Again, don't use just random inverters. This is the one part in here that can do you a lot of damage and send you to the hospital if you do something stupid. So buy a real, honest to God inverter that goes to your computer. Don't just buy some knockoff, please. Now that we have this open, if you have a broken LCD screen, it's pretty simple. You order your new screen from whatever vendor, and then you would unscrew this from the back of the housing. You would screw the new one in, you would plug the new one in, and you'd be good. That's a brand new screen. So like I say, new screens normally cost anywhere between probably about $100 to $250. So you just order a new screen, you put it in, and you're good. That's pretty easy. One thing that you do have to be careful about is sometimes these cables here are what actually go bad. One of the reasons you have to use a reputable supplier is we had this problem where sometimes if you use eBay, they will send you the screen, but they don't send you the new cables. And then again, you find out the only way to get the new cables is to buy an entirely new screen. So you're out, $100 or however much you spend on the LCD screen. So just be aware of that. It could be the cables and not the screen itself, because obviously, the monitor moves up and back and up and back and up and back, and sometimes these can get damaged. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes the cables are replaceable, and if they are, they're like a $10 part. Other times they're attached to the monitor, or again, like I say, other times the only possible way you can buy them is if you buy the LCD screen. Another problem that we've seen, since we're on the screens anyway, is sometimes these hinges here get broken. Just back and forth. They're aluminum. They break. Again, in order to replace the hinges, you just pull all this apart. You unscrew the screws, and then you pop them off, and you buy new ones, and you put the new ones back in. Sometimes you can buy hinges individually. Other times you have to buy the hinges with the entire case, the entire structure. It really depends. So this is how you replace a monitor or the inverter. Like I say, the inverter is if you turn the computer on, and you can see like ghost images. You can see a little something, but it's not bright. That's the inverter. If your screen, of course, is cracked or you see nothing at all, that's most likely the LCD screen. Again, remember to buy this from a reputable vendor, because it also may be the cables. And although the cables can be a $10 part, they can be a bit of a pain in the butt to actually find. So that's replacing the LCD screen. Now the final thing to talk about is power issues. So what happens if your laptop doesn't power up at all? There can be a few reasons for this.
The first reason that gets way overlooked is it may have something to do with your power adapter. The first thing that you need to make sure is that you're using the right power adapter. So we've seen this where families, of course, have 3 or 4 laptop computers. One person grabs the wrong power adapter, they plug that power adapter into their computer, and then the computer doesn't power up. Well, it doesn't power up because it's not getting the right type of power that it needs. So just take a quick look at your power adapter, and if you have a Sony laptop computer, make sure your power adapter says Sony. If you have a Sony laptop computer and your power adapter says Toshiba, that's probably the problem. Now, you have to be careful of this because not only if you use the wrong adapter can the computer not power up, but it can actually physically damage your computer. So if you're using a power adapter that sends more power than your laptop motherboard can handle, that could blow your motherboard, and motherboards are just horrible things to have to replace. So always make sure you're using the right adapter, and the first thing that you should troubleshoot is to make sure that you're using the right adapter. The next thing, and this is a weird one, is your power adapter actually is 2 parts. It has one cable, see a cable, then the power adapter that goes to your computer. You don't know how many times I have seen where this cable here is plugged in just a little bit to the adapter, but it's not plugged in enough to actually make contact. So the adapter is not giving any power, and therefore the laptop computer is not getting any power. So if your laptop computer doesn't power up, take this and push it in tight all the way. So you make sure that this connection is good. Now the next thing you look at is all laptop power adapters, or almost every single one out there, has its own little self-diagnostic on it. And that's the little green light that you'll see on most adapters. When you plug them into the wall, you'll see a little green light up here. Well, if that little green light doesn't light up, that means this thing isn't working. It means your power adapter is either bad or plugged into a bad outlet. So what you do is you just go, when you plug it into another outlet, and then see if it turns green. If you can't get this power adapter to turn green, then the power adapter is definitely the problem. You can go beyond this if you know how to use a multimeter. You can try to test to make sure you're getting the right volts and amperage out of your power adapter. But I'll tell you, if this isn't green, then it's just bad. If it is green, then the problem is probably with the computer itself. So that's power adapter. Make sure that's plugged all the way in, and make sure you're getting that little green light. Also make sure that you're using the right power adapter, and I will warn you of this. There are universal power adapters out there, ones you can go to Best Buy or whatever, and there's a specific manufacturer that makes them. The problem is I've seen 3 laptop computers that we got in 1 month that had their motherboards blown out because of the universal power supply. It was the exact same universal power supply on 3 different types of laptop computers and just fried the motherboards. So if you need to buy a new power supply, just go to the manufacturer or buy the exact one for your laptop computer. Don't buy a universal power supply because, like I say, I've seen them fry motherboards, and that's a bad thing. Now, if it's not the power adapter, then it could be only really one of 2 other problems. Either your power jack has become loose, by plugging it in and out, or maybe tilting it, the power jack has actually come off the circuit board a little bit, or your motherboard is bad. If your motherboard is bad, I doubt it's worth fixing your laptop computer. Motherboards are very expensive. You're normally looking at anywhere between $300 to $800 for the motherboard, plus all the work that goes into it. So I wouldn't suggest replacing the motherboard. If the power jack, so the power jack here, if this has come off the board, if you know how to solder, then you can try to fix the power jack. Basically, you keep pulling the laptop computer apart, you pull off all the layers of the onion, You make sure you know where all the screws go. And then when you get down to where that power jack is, if you see that it's loose or if you see that there's something broken with it, you can resolder that power jack. If you know how to solder, it's a very easy thing to do. At my shop, we used to do 4 or 5 of them a day. It's no big deal. If you don't know how to solder, let a professional do it. Soldering is where you take solder, which is a type of metal, and you heat it up, and basically you kind of weld electronic parts together. Well, there's a lot of heat there, so if you don't know what you're doing, you can damage another part of the computer because of that heat. So you put the soldering iron in there and you melt something that you shouldn't melt. So if you know how to solder, you just go in and you can just resolder that power jack. Sometimes it's a little loose, and so you can just resolder it into place. If it's actually come off, or let's say the little prong in the middle has come off, you can buy new power jacks pretty easily. Again, just go to a decent vendor, say I need a power jack for this computer, and they'll send it to you. Sometimes you can be lucky. Some of the Macs and some of the other expensive laptop computers, instead of soldering, they actually have their own little jack. They're their own little card. So you can go in and you can just unplug that card, unplug it from the motherboard just like you would the monitor, plug a new one in, and it's pretty easy. Now sometimes, and just keep this in mind, you may have to do a Google search on this. Sometimes if you have a bad battery, that can also prevent your computer from powering on. So some of these laptop computers, I don't know why they did it, but if the battery is not in the laptop computer, or if the battery has malfunctioned or died, the computer won't turn on at all. So before you go soldering the power jack, do a Google search and see if that's a problem. Just do a Google, if my battery dies, will my computer work? And make sure that you don't think it's a bad battery. So this is the how to fix your computer if you're having a power problem. Make sure that the adapter is plugged in properly. Make sure you have a little green light. If you do, go to your computer, see if there's any problems with this power jack. If there is, then you'll have to replace the power jack. It normally requires resoldering. So if you know how to solder, it's an easy thing to do. Just keep taking parts off the computer until you get down to the power jack and then resolder it. If you don't know how to solder, don't touch it. Don't rip it apart. Give it to somebody who does know how to solder, because if you go in there with a hot soldering iron, you can just melt stuff. It's just bad. And then also remember that it could be a problem with your battery. This isn't the case with 95% of the computers, but some laptop computers, if you have a bad battery, it won't allow the computer to turn on at all. So that was a class on laptop repair. We showed you how to replace a RAM or reseat RAM, how to replace your hard drive, your optical drive. We talked about your power screen, we talked about your inverter, power issues, the whole 9 yards. Everything that we taught you in this class is basically what any hardware shop will do to your computer. So if you understood this last hour, then you know what a normal computer shop will do when they try to fix your computer. Always make sure that, like I say, you use a little piece of paper and try to remember where all your screws go. If you lose track of your screws, then well, then you can't put your laptop computer back together, and then it's all bad. Remember that if you feel like you are getting over your head, stop, put everything back together, and then give it to a professional. If you get over your head, you can destroy a $1,500 laptop computer in 30 minutes. It's bad. So if you feel like you're getting over your head, don't just put it back. Give it to a professional. Nowadays, there's a lot of places you can send your laptop computers, and for $100 to $200 in labor costs, they'll fix the problem. So that's much better than destroying your laptop computer just because you feel like, oh, you should be able to do it, or whatever. Remember that if your computer is still under warranty, don't try to do any of this. Just give it back to the manufacturer, whoever you have the warranty with, and let them do whatever needs to be done to your computer. It's not worth it, because as soon as you crack the case open, then your warranty is void. Especially if you get something like Apple Care with Apple, or if you get one of these extended protection plans. I mean, you may have spent $300 to $500 on an extended warranty, and if you crack your computer open to do anything, you may void that warranty. So you don't want to do that. Again, like I said in the beginning of this class, and like I've said in so many classes, and you're probably going to ignore, please don't just randomly buy stuff from eBay. We had a lot of problems with this. I'm serious. I'm begging you. Find reputable vendors and then pay the extra money to use a reputable vendor. They will help you out. You know, when you call up and you tell them what you think the problem is and the part you think you need, by using a reputable vendor, they may tell you the part that you actually need. If you use a reputable vendor, you'll actually get the part that you need. A lot of the people on eBay, what they do is they rip apart the computers, they rip apart dead computers, and that refurbished part that you're getting isn't even necessarily tested. That's what a lot of people don't understand. What they do is they rip the computers apart for their parts, and then they just send out the parts willy-nilly. They figure, you know, if 1 out of every 5 parts is bad, well, it's cheaper for them to take that return than it is to actually test the parts. So just please use a reputable vendor. I hope you've learned a lot in this class. You know, fixing laptop computers is a relatively easy thing to do. If you're a little bit technically inclined, you can do it no problem. Again, make sure you know where all the screws and where all the parts go, because, you know, like I say, you're putting your computer back together. For me, for time's sake, you know, I'm just pulling out the pieces because I'm just showing it to you. Because frankly, my laptop computer is going in the trash. So unless your laptop computer is going in the trash, make sure you remember where all the parts are, and make sure where all those screws go. Well, I'm Eli, the computer guy, and this was Laptop Repair. I'll see you at the next class.